you own a home or have plans to in the future? Or are you upside down in your mortgage and need help? Tune in right now to the Call Toni Real Estate Radio Show with Toni Patillo and her co-host Carla Dennis. This is where you come to learn about buying real estate. Here's Toni.
Hello, Los Angelinos. I'm your host, Toni Patillo, and you're listening to Call Toni Real Estate Radio here on KEIB AM 1150, The Patriot. Our word today is awareness. And I thought it might be appropriate because we're going to talk about the Alzheimer's world and the bringing awareness to our consumers and our listeners. I really wanted to share a personal story, speaking of awareness, because growing up, all of my brothers and sisters were much older than I am.
Right.
So I kind of grew up as an only child. You know, you watch your parents age, right?
Right.
But you never really imagine that your siblings age. Like, you don't get it. You know what I'm saying? So just recently, my brother, who is 75, and he's always been very active, an avid golfer, and suddenly we are starting to become aware of signs of aging.
Right.
It was really crazy to see my brother, you know, start having these signs.
Right.
Like a little bit of confusion. You know, it's one thing when you have memory loss, because we all have memory loss.
On a daily basis.
Right. Like, you know, and I used to make jokes about sometimers.
Yeah,
right?
sometimers.
I'm having sometimers. I can't remember certain things, right? But then there's a point where it starts to really show some significant differences.
Right.
And where people bring it to your attention. You know, something is not quite connecting here. And we're starting to realize that there's something that is a little off kilter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just an example. He took his paycheck and he was going to use that to pay his mortgage, but he really needed to deposit the check.
Right.
And then write a check for the mortgage, right? Well, when I realized he was confused about it, and I said, why? No, you need to deposit this check, and then you can write the check for your mortgage. He says, I don't have a bank account. And I said, oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So there were little things like that. And then I started getting calls from different members of my family who also started noticing that there was something a little bit off with the conversation.
Not quite right.
There was a disconnect in the dialogue, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting confused as to, he has 6 kids and 12 grandkids and 7 great grandkids.
Wow.
And so he has a tendency to get them confused. And I thought that was no big deal. But there was the one day where he actually got confused with who was the mother of his daughter, you know. And so it's just interesting. And, you know, it's just bringing me to the real reality of being aware of what's happening.
Right.
What's happening. And you really start having to look at from a health perspective, from not just a health perspective, but a mental perspective. I just wanted to share that because I think it's really super important that you tune in to your surroundings and you pay attention to what's happening in your space, whether or not it's dealing with a senior matter or not. But you really need to tune your awareness up.
Absolutely.
You know, the actual definition of awareness is knowledge or perception of a situation or a fact. So, you know, we need to raise our awareness as it relates to all of our surroundings, you know. So that's really what I wanted to share today was that story.
That's really good, though.
And it's just because it's like, okay, you really need to be aware of all these things and you need to pay attention.
Right.